G'day, Michael here. With buying the Prusa, it was a little bit more complete than the Delta machine that I had, in that it had its own heater bed, and I found, obviously, I don't know why they even bother making printers without hotbeds, because having that heated control is actually quite a vital component. If you're thinking about building or buying a printer, I would really say don't bother with one that doesn't have a heated bed. But if it doesn't have a heated bed, you can overcome that, which is in fact what I had to do on my Delta. Now you may have remembered that I've had a red hotbed on here, which is one I jammied up using a power supply, manually turning it on and waiting till it got to about the right temperature, using a temperature probe to measure its temperature, and then start printing. But I've found that I've actually lost a few prints as a result of it overheating and getting too warm and everything letting go. So what I've done on this machine is I've actually installed one properly so that the controller is actually managing it. Now there are two parts to that. You've obviously got to buy the hotbed. That's cool. It's got to have a thermistor on it which measures the temperature. Then you've got to wire it in, which is pretty simple. Basically 4 wires need to be connected to the Arduino unit, and then you need to update the firmware, which is one part that I really like about these open architecture machines. You can actually change the firmware, and on this Delta it's proved to be very advantageous. I've been able to change the let's see if we can get an image of that. Been able to change a completely different type of feeder on this thing, which operates at a different scale. I've been able to tune the precision to quite a high level, and also now of course I can add the hotbed, or I have added the hotbed, and it's all running very, very happily. Alright, so the physical stuff makes sense. You connect the wires as it says in the documentation, but the firmware stuff, let's move across to the computer and have a look at that. Okay, so with your machine, if you've got one of these open architecture machines, I'm trying to not shake this around too much, you get a number of files and you end up, extract your marlin. This one is a marlin. Extract the files and you end up with a folder of that extracted detail, and I've actually copied it and made a backup so I had an original that is untouched, and then I've got the one that's active that I'm working on. Now I could open it in the Arduino suite. In fact, I'll just do that. Electronics. Linux is absolutely fantastic for this stuff, because actually I'll just do that on another desktop. Excuse me for a second. So choose Applications, Electronics, Arduino IDE, and it opens up a sketch. Just give me a second again. Server 1. And this is how the Arduino program works. It breaks up the various files. In any case, most of the things that we're after for the configuration is, where are we? Configuration.h. Of course that's a text file, but let's open it in the Arduino editor. And you need to scroll down, and it's quite well documented in the format of these comments with a double forward slash. So you go down and find the relevant parts that you need to edit it, and then you simply press this upload, and it compiles the firmware and then sends it to your printer. But what I'll do now is I'll go back to the text editors, simply because the text editors are nicely highlighted and show what we're looking at. Okay, now this one is my modified one. Where are we? To the right here. There's a lot of stuff here, but for the purpose of... What have I done? Give me a second to find it. Okay. Now here, 182. There's quite a lot of detail here. Here we go. Now, this PID temp bed was commented out, and you can see the comment here. If you want to use the heated bed, you need to enable this, and basically you delete the commenting. So there it is, I deleted the commenting. So you can see there, defined PID temp bed. That means, you know, that's uncommented, and so it becomes part of the picture. And from there on, if it sees, here's a question, if PID temp bed, then so and so, whatever all this stuff is. Right, so it's basically C code. You don't need to understand the C code, but you do have to understand, you need to read through the comments carefully, and this is the one that I needed to uncomment, and hey presto, it all basically worked from there on. I'll just double check there wasn't another detail. This is the original again. And to make it easy for me to remember whether I've done the right thing, I've actually, at the beginning here somewhere, okay, now see this Helm question mark, that's short, you know, my surname question mark. Originally it had a more, you know, logical and machine based thing. It used to say UMV 2.4. I basically did that as a, where are we? I basically did that as a signal to me that I uploaded to the firmware of the printer. Now I'll show you where that exists here. That would show up in this area here of the display when it's no longer printing, when it's basically just an info screen. It shows up here. So I'm able to confirm at the printer that the upload and everything worked fine by that little trick. So it's a bit of a complicated thing in one way, but it's actually quite simple once you get to understand it. I'm trying not to shake this phone around too much, but here we are. Alright, well I hope that's of use to you. I found the change to having a controlled bed is an unbelievable improvement to the printing. I really don't understand why they bother making these FDM machines or extruder machines without hotbeds. It's such a big asset to printing. Anyhow, that's it for me. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, ask a question, leave a comment. Bye for now.